are listening to How to Get Over Your Ex, episode number 123, Being Friends with Your Ex. Welcome to How to Get Over Your Ex, a podcast on getting over your ex without it just taking time. I'm your host, breakup coach Dorothy. Let's turn your pain into power and your heartbreak into happy. Hello, my beautiful brave hearts. How is everyone doing? I am struggling with a cold today, so please just bear with me. My voice might sound a little bit different than what you're used to. So, we're going to get this podcast recorded, and I'm going to do very little talking the rest of the day. All right. So, I have had a couple of you reach out talking about being friends with your ex. And fascinating enough, this woman's name actually was Danica, and not my best friend Danica, but a different Danica. And she spelled her name with a C, which was super cool. I thought it was super, super neat that her name was Danica just because my best friend's name is Danica. So fun, fun, fun. Now, Danica reached out asking, really the primary question that she was asking is it wrong to be friends with your ex? She mentioned that she met him at a gym and he was super knowledgeable and really great. And they built this like relationship. They were friends first and then they, ended up dating and then the dating didn't work out. And she's feeling hesitant about being friends with an ex. But it sounded really like she wanted to be friends with her ex. But we're going to talk all about it. I also then had a Braveheart who is a client of mine inside of the Get Over Your Ex program. And we did some coaching on wanting to still be friends with her ex. And we realized the only reason she wanted to be friends with her ex was because they enjoyed similar interests. But she hadn't even thought about, maybe someone else would enjoy those same interests. And we go through an entire conversation about this. And normally I'm like, oh, well, why would you want to be friends with your ex if, for me, myself, I didn't have the same interests as my ex. And so why would I want to be friends with that person? However, she did have the same interests, but he was not reciprocating or responding to her. And we go through this beautiful exploration together of, I still want to talk to him so that we can be friends. And then I'm like, are you guys friends? And then she said, no, because we don't respond. And then it goes down to, do you want to be friends with someone who doesn't respond to you? Right? What are you making being friends with him mean about you? And really, it was just such a beautiful exploration of this. And it was such a great example to everyone within the Get Over Your Ex program around how you really decide whether or not you want to be friends, right? We've got all these questions. Is it wrong to be friends with our ex? Can it happen? How can I be friends with my ex? Should I be friends with my ex? How do I know? What do I do if my ex wants to be friends with me? That's what Iris reached out on the Braveheart hotline and asked, my ex actually reached out and wants to be friends with me, but I don't know if that's the kind of situation that I want. So, today we're going to walk through all of these different scenarios. We're going to answer all of your questions and we're going to talk all about being friends with your ex. Because if you know me, if you've been around the block, if you've listened to the How to Get Over Your Ex podcast, you're probably going to realize that my answer is very different from the free information out online. So, the first thing that I want to talk about is the problem around this entire concept of being friends with your ex. People ask me this. Bravehearts come to me and they ask, should I be friends with my ex? As if it's a yes or a no or a right or wrong answer. And it's simply just not a one size fits all. I literally need to have a coaching conversation with you to fully understand where your situation is coming. Coaching that I give one Braveheart might not necessarily be the coaching that I give another Braveheart. And it's really important that you recognize that I'm going to give you some tools and some resources, but please know that it's not a one size fits all answer. It's not a yes or a no, or is it right or is it wrong? It's very much a individualized solution. Now, we think that this is a problem like this whole idea about being friends with your ex. And I want to come back to the core message that I teach all of you guys, right? Thoughts create feelings, feelings generate and fuel action, and that action creates results in our life. The problem at hand around being friends with your ex, it's not should I be friends with this person or not? It always still just boils down to a thought problem. All problems boil down to a thought problem, right? Problems originate in the mind because the mind needs problems to solve. And my client, her example around she wanted to be friends with her ex because she enjoyed the mutual interests, it wasn't a problem that she wanted to be friends with him. It was a thought problem of looking at why and what are the reasons. And so that's going to lead me into the primary solution when we're talking about should I be friends with my ex? Should I not be friends with my ex? I want you to look at your reasons. Why do I want to be friends with my ex? Right. And it's going to be really important that you be honest with yourself in this situation. And that's why coaching is so beautiful. Someone can come to me and I ask them, why do you want to be friends with your ex? And your immediate answer, your brain's going to be like, I don't know. I don't really know why I want to, or I want to because we were friends before. And when you're exploring this concept on your own, it's hard to see it from an unbiased place, hence why it's so amazing to have a coach, right? And I think that I see fear from people, from brave hearts, wanting to explore both options. What would it be like to not be friends with my ex? And what would it be like to be friends with my ex? And can we explore that from like a very neutral place? When you're looking at your reasons, I then want you to ask yourself, do I like my reasons for wanting to be friends with my ex? Do I like the reasons that I have? Right? So for my client's example, she didn't like her reason. She's like, I'm trying to be friends with my ex who's not responding to me because we have mutual interests and I want to do those things that we used to do mutually together. And the question became, is there someone else who would be willing and would have those same mutual interests and want to do them with you? And wouldn't that be more fun? Wouldn't that experience be way more fun than trying to like pull teeth to get someone to do these things with you who doesn't want to? And I remember talking to her too about priorities, where it's like, I'm really picky with my friends and I don't have a lot of them. I have a lot of like acquaintances and colleagues and people I spend, you know, work time with and I interact with. But when it comes to close friends, I don't have that many. And here's why. I have a lot going on in my life, right? When I think about priorities, it's myself, it's then my work, my dog now, a significant other, family, right? Friends falls kind of like underneath all of that for me. And by the end of the day, if I focused all my energy on those other things, I'm not going to like play around with friends who are sketchy. I'm not going to try to be friends with someone who doesn't want to be friends with me. I just don't have the time or the patience, honestly, anymore for that. Now, when it comes to maybe like wanting to be friends with an ex because you have mutual interests and you were friends with that person before, do you like your reason for wanting to be friends with because we have mutual interests? Okay. And for some of you, you're going to like your reason, and some of you, you won't like your reason. And the best thing I can do for you around this is provide you questions to help you explore this for yourself. Okay. So, again, tangible next steps. Here are some journal prompts that I want you to explore yourself around this. Is what am I making it mean about me if I'm friends with my ex? Think about this. I had a client most recently who said, well, if I'm friends with that person, it means I'm still exciting, right? I'm still an exciting person if I can be friends with this other human. That's interesting, right? Because could you be exciting even if you weren't friends with your ex? Could your life be exciting if you're not friends with your ex? Another question is, if I was married to the love of my life and had the life of my dreams, would I still want to be friends with my ex? Why or why not? Would I still be investing time, energy, money, resources into this person if I was married to my amazing husband or wife and had the life of my dreams? And make sure you ask yourself why or why not to really look at that. Another question is, if my ex was dating someone new, would I still want to be friends with my ex? Mm, I hear some of you saying heck to the no, right? We think it's all fine and dandy to be friends with our ex, but then we have a lot of expectations that they don't move on quickly, that they don't bring their ex around us. Like, would you feel calm and content and totally okay? Have you reduced your desire for that person? Have you reduced your attachment for that person that you genuinely could show up in an environment and be yourself and not make it a thing if they were dating someone new? For some of you, the answer is going to be yes. And that's amazing and phenomenal. I know so many Bravehearts who are friends with their ex, and I actually see it a lot in co parenting situations where their best friend is their ex husband or ex wife, and they've learned how to redefine and recreate a beautiful friendship. And they're not reactive around that person. They are happy for that person when life things happen. They've reduced the desire and attachment completely, and it's totally not a problem. And then I've seen other people decide not to be friends, and that serves them, and that's amazing for them. There's no right or wrong answer here. Another question I want you to ask yourself is it beneficial to my life to be friends with my ex? Why or why not? And interestingly enough, I asked my roommate Danica about this. I was like, what are your thoughts about being friends with your ex before I started recording today? And one of the things that she brought up was, is this person bringing anything to my life? Am I a better person because this person's in my life? And it really relates back to this question of, does it benefit me in any way? And if so, how? And am I okay with that reason? Am I on board with that reason? So, what you're really doing, Braveheart, is you're exploring all of the thoughts that you have about being friends with your ex. And you're going to have like a lot of thoughts that are made up by society, and you're going to want to go to like, this is right or this is wrong. And none of it's right or wrong, it's all neutral. You just get to decide. You're exploring thoughts and feelings associated to being friends with your ex, and then you get to decide what's right for you. And you're going to have people who disagree with you, but it is your journey, and you have to learn through going through your journey. You've got to experience it fully for yourself. But while you're doing it, you might as well like your reasons, right? So you've got to, going back to the basics, right? Decide for yourself, commit to that decision and practice. It's your decision. You get to decide, you get to commit, you get to practice. No one else has to agree with you. Okay. So I want to make sure that I address all the questions that we talked about at the beginning. I have throughout this episode, but I'm just going to directly answer those questions. So, is it wrong to be friends with your ex? Absolutely not. It is not quote unquote wrong. The real question is, does it serve me? Do I like my reasons for being friends with my ex? And even if you want to be friends with your ex, but you're struggling in the beginning, that just means you have work to do around reducing desire and attachment. And you can absolutely do that. And obviously, I recommend you get inside the Get Over Your Ex program so you can learn exactly how to do that. The question is, what do I do when my ex asks to be friends with me? Again, come back to, what do I want? Do I want to be friends with my ex? It doesn't really even matter if my ex wants to be friends with me or not. Do I want to be? and why? And do I like my reasons? Then if your ex comes back and says, I don't want to be friends with you, then the question becomes, do I want to be friends with someone who doesn't want to be friends with me? Right? But when an ex comes back to you and asks to be friends, Iris on her call to the Braveheart hotline kind of seemed confused, as if this was like a confusing thing. Don't make it confusing. You're an amazing, awesome person. Of course, your ex probably still wants you in your life, in their life, in some way, shape, or form. Do you want to be in theirs? Do you want them in yours? It doesn't have to be confusing. How can I be friends with my ex if I decide that's what I want? Okay. So, again, going back to the basics, right? Learning to reduce desire for your ex through changing your thoughts, learning how to reduce attachment to your ex for what you want in your future by changing your ex. If you reduce desire and you reduce attachment to your ex, all your breakup symptoms go away. They're not a problem. It's easy to be friends with someone you no longer desire to be in a romantic relationship with. It's easy to be friends with someone when you no longer feel attached to that person to go out and create the future that you want. Am I right? The last question was, should I be friends with my ex and how do I know? That is up to you. It's not a one size fits all. You need to explore, why do I want to be friends with my ex? Do I like my reasons? And that is how you'll know. You'll know once you explore and you walk through the questions that I gave you. All right. Bravehearts, ultimately, like I said, there's no one size fits all. You get to decide. You're the one in control. There are no right or wrong decisions. And be sure to be clear about your reasons and like those reasons. I've given you those questions to help walk you through that. All right. I love you all so much. I hope you have an amazing week. If you are dying to get into the Get Over Your Ex program, it opens this Thursday. It's going to be super exciting. I cannot wait to see you guys in there. And I will talk to you guys later. I love you. If you're loving the How to Get Over Your Ex podcast and you want to learn how to get over your ex in 3 months or less to build a life better than the one you thought you had with your ex, I would like to personally invite you to my next group course where we take everything you've learned here on the podcast and apply it to your life. Come check it out at www.lifecoachdorothy.com.